Well, the three-game road trip is over. The Pittsburgh Penguins win 2 of 3, including a really standout performance Saturday night, beating the San Jose Sharks 3-0 here at the SAP Center. I am Dan Kingerski on the Pittsburgh Hockey Now platforms. I say a standout performance, but it's far more complex and nuanced than that. Tristan Jarry, at last count anyway, they were kind of shuffling the stats a little bit, post a 31-save shutout. And make no mistake, he earned that shutout. Half a dozen brilliant saves in the first period, several more throughout the game. It was one of those awkward sort of moments when the stats didn't match the eyes, because Natural Stat Trick had the Penguins with 10 high-danger scoring chances, and San Jose just 1 in the first 20 minutes. Not my count at all. I had San Jose with a solid 5 or 6 uncontested chances. And that speaks to two things. One, how well some of the Penguins were playing. But it also speaks to how poorly some of the Penguins were playing and some of the aspects of their game that weren't coming together. Let's start with the exemplary performances. Jarry, brilliant. He was steady, calm, and quiet from the very first shot. Asked him after the game, hey, you made some big saves early. Were you feeling it? Was that a momentum builder? And he was fairly honest in saying, hey, I wanted to focus this season on having better starts for the team, for myself, and he certainly did that. He was tall, quiet in net all night long. There weren't the big bouncing rebounds, and there weren't, the scrambly moments in the third period that have plagued Jarry over the last couple of seasons. That was really the best version of him. Second performance to circle, Ben Kindle. Wow. He's getting better and better and bleeping better every single game. That game off against LA just launched him tonight. It's difficult to describe all of the things that Kindle did, because I don't know how much you could see on television. The sharp little plays away from the puck, stepping in front of a defender, creating a lane for his teammates, creating space for his teammates, zipping through a seam to draw defenders, to get the puck to the net a couple of times. Caleb Jones zapped a couple of pucks to him on one shift in the second period. He had 3 scoring chances, 3 great scoring chances on one shift, 2 of them coming on one little sequence on a pass from Caleb Jones. But there was another sequence, probably 10 to 15 seconds before that, also right in front of the net, as he just sort of, blended into the background and then snapped to at the exact right moment. He's got a certain puppet master quality, does young Ben Kindle, where you see him watching the play and it's almost revolving around him even when he's not holding the puck. He's not going back after 9 games. He's pretty sure he's going to stick around with the Penguins, and it was impressive. Don't get me wrong, you can probably tell by the expression on my face, I was incredibly impressed with his performance, and we talked to him after the game. You can check out that video here also on Pittsburgh Hockey Now's YouTube page. Another couple just really good performances Saturday. Justin Brazeau, he was dealing. He's got surprisingly soft hands. He's got a real head for the offensive side of the game. You see him thinking it as well, and being 8 feet tall and about 6 feet wide, he's able to shield the puck, and he's able to make some plays. You don't see him lose puck battles very often. He's not a thunderously heavy player, but he knows how to use his body on the wall. He sidestepped Macklin Celebrini to set up the Penguins' second goal, and Celebrini was kicking himself Like, oh, I can't let that happen. But the reality was Brazeau looked like he was headed down the left wing wall and just very nifty, just flipped, turned his hips, and was inside Celebrini right to the net. Poor Alex Nedeljkovic, the Sharks goalie, played great on Saturday. Ned was just as good as Jarry, except the Penguins the Penguins finished a couple of their chances. That was one where Brazeau essentially creates a 2-on-none behind all of the defensemen, slips a pass in front of the crease. There's Mantha to come back to the far post with it. Brazeau, Erik Carlson was really good. That was the best version of Erik Carlson. Don't underestimate the Sharks owner basically backing the bus over him last week. Didn't quite say he regretted the Carlson trade. Didn't quite say it, but he kind of did. That was on Pittsburgh Hockey Now, all over the Daily. Was it last Thursday, Wednesday, where the owner lamented acquiring Carlson because it meant they didn't get Tim Stützle and, giving up Josh Norris and so on and so forth. And Carlson had a little chip on his shoulder Saturday, and you saw how good he can be when he's engaged at both ends of the rink. Caleb Jones, they're tearing down the crew is here. I don't know if you could hear the horn, but Caleb Jones was really good Saturday as well. I don't know about perfect, but he was playing fast. His passes, tape to tape, he was reading the breakouts very well. And in the offensive zone, he held the blue line when he could, made some really good plays, especially with Ben Kindle. But also, I don't know if you realized a couple of times, he was the lone defenseman back. His defense partner, Harrison Brunick, got a little shaky through the game. And Jones bailed him out so that Brunick, didn't have a minus or didn't have one of those black marks on his permanent record. Now, as we talk about some of the shaky performances on Saturday, they do largely stem from a couple of defensemen. Chris Letang, I gave him an F in the report card. He only scored with 2 turnovers on the stat sheet. I had him at least 4, if not 5, pretty bad giveaways, but also not just the giveaways. Twice, San Jose Sharks were able to breeze past him in the offensive zone, like near the blue line. First, William Eklund just took the inside lane and went on by. And then in the second period, Jeff Skinner kind of did the same thing to Letang. Although Letang had an interesting defense the second time. He just punched Skinner in the head. Just literally, that was his defense as Skinner skated past. No call. Skinner doesn't score on the uncontested shot. Jarry made a pretty good save, but I'm sure it had to be a little bit shocking to Skinner, who's no slouch, who certainly knows how to score some NHL goals, to just get bopped in the head as you skate by Chris Letang. The other thing to call your attention to, I thought was a shortcoming for the Penguins Saturday, which really, I think, led to a lot of San Jose's zone time and scoring chances, was the disconnect between the F3 and the defenseman. Now, look, we've been over this. Dan Musa's 1-1-3 system unleashes the defenseman forward. You saw Harrison Brunick and Erik Carlson and Caleb Jones going forward. The F3 has to cycle high when the defenseman comes low. I probably lost count. Off the top of my head, I can think of several moments, at 3 or 4, when Anthony Mantha was instead at the midwall watching, being a fourth stick down low rather than coming up high. That was a bit too common for the Penguins. That is a huge problem. A team better than the Sharks is going to bury them if they are not more connected and more in sync, where the F3 covers the defenseman. We're 6 games in now. That should not be a thought process. When you see Harrison Brunick whipping up the wall with the puck, cycle high. That's fairly common. I'm not sure why we saw 4 Penguins down below the dot, or a few times 4 Penguins down near that very goal line behind us. Now, conversely, you saw the defenseman coming into the play, creating extra zone time, extended offense, pressure. So that was pretty good. Those are the highs, the lows. 3-game road trip. I'm kind of ready to say goodbye to California. San Jose, certainly much different than LA. I didn't step on anything in this city, and I get to stay at my favorite pink neon motel. If you ever stay in San Jose, a little love to the Pink Flamingo. And it looks exactly as it sounds, 1950s neon, but some great rooms. And I don't think they realize that they're a cool hotel, and they charge based on just being a basic motel. That's definitely good for PHN's budget. We fly home in the morning. That's it. I'm done. I'm tired. We're headed home early in the AM. So thanks, everyone, for following. Like, subscribe, share, comment, do all of that fun stuff. And we will chat with No Pucks Given, which will be available to you Monday morning. And, of course, the live chat on Wednesday. Although Wednesday I'm in Pittsburgh. Thursday is when I fly to Florida, I think. All right. Have fun.